The information contained herein is intended to help the viewer successfully navigate common IRS and Department of Labor requirements to help achieve successful results from their IRA. The information is not intended to replace information from your legal counsel or income tax professional. IRA Club does not offer or sell any investment. All investments have risk.
Welcome to another edition of the Investors Row podcast. My name is Matt Hayes. I'm one of the production partners that helps make this podcast. And this gentleman right here, you know him, but you, sir, are...
Ramez Fakhoury. Finally get you
I know.
as a co-host. So this is great. This is our first one together.
I am glad to be here. Thank you so much. It's nice to be on this side of the camera for once. And Now, a little bit of IRA Club news here. I know on a podcast previously, a couple of weeks ago, we talked a little bit about you came rushing on in to do an episode and you thought you weren't going to be able to make it because you had some personal news about a potential new member of the IRA Club that was going to be joining on in.
Yes.
You just recently had a baby. Congratulations.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, my wife and I just welcomed the newest addition, Elias, to the family.
That's awesome.
And also the youngest IRA Club member. We just opened up his Roth IRA account at 29 days old.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're excited. Made his first contribution and off and running. We're going with that. So I was highly encouraged to get your kids involved as early as possible when it comes to their futures, right?
Yeah.
And because of the Trump's new incentives,
yeah,
including that $1,000. Please, by all means, make sure you guys take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's never too early to get started, you know?
Nope.
Just make that decision and get started right away. So
well, they have something me and you don't have, right? Time
absolutely.
Is on their side. I don't. I'm getting old and moldy.
And in 20, 30 years, you're they're going to look back and thank you for that to be able to do that. I mean, I remember my dad started a mutual fund for me when I think I was about like 7 or 8.
Oh.
And still have it to this day. So I do think about that and be able to look back and those little things they remember and helps teach about investing very early on. So there's been a lot of also big news that's been going on here at the IRA Club because over the last couple of months there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes to get something brand new launched here. A brand new product that the IRA Club has been working on, products for small businesses, investment products for the small business world. So tell us a little bit about this new vehicle that you guys have been working on.
You know what's funny, Matt, is we actually, you with the product itself, you're right, launched a couple months ago, but it's been years in the making and something that I've been working really hard on, not just myself, but I want to give kudos to all of the team members. And you guys know who you are if you guys are listening to this, including Dennis Blitz, our fearless leader, our founder, our president. So, one of the things that I talk to a lot about people is really individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are a self-directed IRA company.
Yep.
When we go out on the road, we teach a lot of individuals how to use a portion of their retirement dollars to invest in alternative assets because that's what everybody knows IRA Club for, as you well know. But the challenge was when we used to go to events, and the way that this all came to fruition was going to work events, listening to people on podcasts, talking to people one-on-one. The challenge was a lot of them would always say kind of one of 3 things. I can't do anything with my current 401k plan because I'm with my employer, right? Or I would talk to an individual who wants to self-direct, but had a small business, right? And had, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 employees. And we never had a solution for them.
Yep.
And that wasn't just IRA Club, right? That was pretty much every custodian or administrator across the country. So my thought process was, okay, we have the bandwidth. We already know how to administer alternative assets. Well, why don't we offer these to small business owners with W-2 employees or 1099 employees? And as I went down this rabbit hole, wow, was that a mistake? All right. It was like, oh my God. So that's why I said, even though the product launched 2 months ago, it took years to build this. And that's not something I expected, Matt.
Yeah.
And it started off with something very basic, which was we needed a product to put every single one of the employer's employees in. Why? Because the money has to be invested, better yet, right away. Okay. And number one was we needed to become our own broker dealer. Right. And what we did was we partnered with a couple other different companies that launched a product that we love that you know very well, which is iFlip, right? And that's step number one was right, buying a piece of optionality, which is our broker dealer, but also the fact that we work with a lot of other broker dealers, right? And we have a lot of connections to a lot of registered investment advisors, and they more than anybody wanted a product like this, right? We're the registered investment advisors. So my thought process again 2 years ago was like, why just go after the one individual when we could teach this to everybody and offer it to everybody? So that's what kind of walked me down the yellow brick road. and
the very long yellow brick road.
Very long. So what I didn't take, like I said, what I didn't take into anticipation was it took almost a year and a half to get our broker dealer up and operational. We had to work with, in order to offer these products, you have to work with registered investment advisors because you must sit down with the employer and all of the employees. That's state mandated. Sitting down with every lawyer you could think of on the planet, from an ERISA lawyer, to a compliance lawyer, to making sure all our disclaimers, everything's in good order before you launch this. Really, for every step that I took forward, I felt like I took two back. But finally, as of October 7th was the first launch day. And let me tell you something, we hit a home run. So we're definitely excited about this because it is something that is unique, right, Matt? And here's what's even better, Matt. I didn't even tell you about this. Mr. Trump, our president, actually just accelerated it, right? What most people don't know is a state mandate, August 7th, executive order by Mr. Trump basically stated, hey, we want to offer alternative assets within current 401k plans.
Right.
So that was launched on October 7th, and it kind of exposed it. The issue and the problem was no company, right? Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, I'm talking about any custodian, again, an administrator, they weren't set up for it yet. I think it's going to be years out before they could actually start offering alternative assets. When IRA Club, we've been doing it since 2008.
Yeah.
So we're already ahead of the curve. It was just like, I anticipated it way back when. Took a while to get it up and operational, but we're just much further than anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's really been exciting.
What's really interesting is how much part of the education of the IRA Club and Investors Row is about doing due diligence.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys really spent, I mean, I've been in this office and seen how you guys sit in these meetings, and I've seen, how you've seen you coming out of all these meetings so stressed out and all. And the amount of due diligence and the amount of work that has been put into this to make sure not only that it's right for the clients, but to make sure that, all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, to make sure that everything is compliant, everything is legal, to make sure that everything is done right, because you want to make sure it's done right for the clients and make sure that everything is, A-okay, which was, you guys teach about compliance, but to watch the company actually go down the path to make sure that this is done properly and done well was pretty impressive to watch, to say the least.
Well, I'm happy you got to witness it firsthand, because it was no, small feat by any matter. It's talking to the lawyers, a lot of hiccups that we would probably see by having already these one-on-ones with a lot of small business owners is they're always told by other financial advisors or institutions or brokers that, hey, you can't do that. You hold all of the risk, being the employer, and you're the one adopting the plan. Well, the truth is, yes, you are the one who's adopting the plan, but you can pick and choose what you want inside of these plans, right? Because we do offer alternative assets. You can pick and choose the actual alternative asset of the category itself, right? So, like, for example, if you don't want your employees to invest in crypto, Matt, or let's just say a private equity deal or a syndication, well, we could actually put that within the contract. Maybe you just want them to do hard tangible assets like mineral, I'm trying to think, a house on 123 Green Street, or a precious metal. Then you could have a hard tangible asset where the 401k or the IRA is buying it outright. So there is no real risk in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
But again, the rules and regulations don't state to anybody what they can and cannot do. The only thing is what you do to one, you must do to all. So you being the employer, if you say, I don't want you to invest in crypto or a private equity deal, well, that also constitutes for you. right? You can't just give that to your employees and not for you. That's kind of the only real rule behind it.
Yeah.
And also disclosing everything to your employees.
Yeah.
That's why we do have registered investment advisors here at the IRA Club that will sit down and have those one-on-ones. What's best suited for you, your company? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want tax deferred, tax free? These are all things that we're going to sit down and break down one, step by step. And then finally, I hate to say this, and what bothers me a lot is fee structures.
Yeah.
I know something that you want to bring that up a little bit later.
Yeah.
But that's one of the biggest things that I do want to take away is when talking to our registered investment advisors, when you actually talk to the employer, right? They have no idea. They have no idea what the fees are that are associated. The only fees that they do understand is the fees that they are being charged.
They don't read the things that are in the fine print. No one really pays attention to.
Nobody ever does.
Yeah.
Man, come on. I mean, that's like, who's going to read a 200-page document of a 401k plan?
Yeah.
But the thing is, remember, these larger institutions, I'm not going to get into the weeds, but there are thousands of them that are out there.
Yeah.
They understand that their whole goal is to get the employer and the business itself to open and adopt these plans. The people that are actually getting hurt by these plans, right, is not the employer, it's the employees.
Yeah.
That's the catch. Because this because you go into every single meeting, we don't believe in percentage-based models. We believe in flat fees. And that also applies to the employees. Like, for example, Matt, I sat down with an individual, not even 4 days ago, 4 days ago. And he was like, oh, they're only charging me, 25 basis points. And they didn't disclose all of the little fees that were stacked up behind it.
Yeah.
For example, they would charge to do because he had a safe harbor 401k, they would charge to do a non-discriminatory testing, right? And that was like $900.
Jeez.
And you're required by law to do that at least twice a year. So that's the little things or nuances that you're not aware of, that you have to read through the fine print.
Yeah.
Or they don't disclose, right? The investment options that they have could be 10, it could be, 100, right? 200, 300.
Yeah.
But what they don't disclose are what are the fees associated to those.
Yeah.
Right. That's where I get you. So when I was having this meeting with this individual, I showed him, right? Because one of the powerful advantages that we have here at the IRA Club is we could see every single statement, right? We could see and break down, all right, the actual fees that we could obviously pinpoint. Some of them actually disclose it. So there was one that I disclosed, Matt, to this individual. It was a mutual fund. And within the mutual fund, depending on his risk tolerance, because that's what it was going off of, they were charging this poor man 3.88%. And the guy had about $500,000. So think about that.
Wow.
$500,000 at 3.88%.
Wow.
With a company that he worked for 22 years. 22 years. So
had no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
Because nobody does, man. They just go about their lives.
Yeah.
Right? And you have a family, you're thinking nest egg. I need something to live off of. I'm going about my daily business.
I'm trusting this professional I'm supposed to have their trust and believe that they have my best interest in this because I trust them with my life story and my family and all. And then I actually look at the numbers. I'm like, actually, they really don't. So
they don't. And they're your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Always remember
absolutely. They give me a pie at Christmas. They love me.
Oh,
I got my free pie. They love me.
Oh, of course. Of course they do. That's the least they can do is a pie. I mean, a man like that was getting charged, what, $3,800 per $100,000?
That's insane.
Insane. And that's what we don't believe in. So for us, we put all of the employer and their employees in a product that we're very proud of, that it took us a long time to do these integrations and a full compliance check. And it's a tech company that we're very much you're familiar with, and we work side by side with. But they're the first in the industry to launch an AI solution. So imagine this. Imagine if you could get rid of the middleman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The middleman that's charging you possibly that's 2, 3, 4%. And we charge a flat fee of $7.
Wow.
$7.
Yep.
$7 a month, right?
Yep.
And it's a tiered structure. So instead of charging a percentage of 3.8%, $7 a month. And from $0 to $10,000, we don't charge $1.
Wow.
From $10,000 to $25,000, it's $10 a month. And then from 25,000 to 50,000, it's $40 a month. But then picture this, Matt. It's capped off at $140 per year. If you pay up front for the whole year, it's $1,580.
Wow.
Right? And now we don't care if the market's up, down, or flat. We don't care what the financial advisor is charging us or the broker dealer is charging us, because the most that we could ever take from you, or that employee, better yet, is $1,580.
Yeah.
So imagine how much money I would have saved this poor guy that I spoke to 4 days ago.
Yeah.
It would have been in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. And I'm picturing this. I want to kind of get into a little bit about the different layers that that you guys have set up for everybody, from for someone that's self-employed all the way to small business owners to some of these bigger enterprise companies that you're starting to talk to. But you think about, some of these businesses that have been around for 20 years, the amount of money you're saving them, that you're saving them now. But for someone that's maybe just getting started now, that's just opening up some of these smaller tech companies, or someone that's just starting out their business now, you're going to be able to save them, starting, right here on the ground floor.
Yes.
So let's talk about this. Let's start first off with those that are self-employed. What does this look like for them?
So great question, by the way. And let me start off, let me take a step back too.
Sure.
So now there are 14 states that mandate, as of this year, that you must have or offer an employer some sort of retirement account. Okay. Please take a look or go Google those 14 states. I know Illinois, we're here in Illinois, is one of them. California, I know Pennsylvania is one.
By the way, you can get all this info at IRAClubSBS.com, but we'll get more into that in a little bit, but go ahead, continue on.
Yeah, so check out the 14 states. You might be already mandated by the end of, they're saying by the end of 2027. I think half of the states are going to actually make this mandatory. But to your question a split second ago, was there are many different types of business owners, right?
Yeah.
You talked about an individual. So if you are a sole proprietor of an LLC, C Corp, or S Corp, you constitute, or you can qualify for either a SEP IRA or a solo 401k, right? Totally two different plans. Basically, contribution limits are the same. We would obviously sit down and talk to you with one of our registered investment advisors to see what's best suited for you. But you have the opportunity for you and or your spouse to tuck away north of $70,000, right? $80,000 if you're over the age of 50. And the contribution limits in 2026 are actually going up across the board. And again, all qualified retirement accounts. We'll see a slight bump of contribution limits, and that's only because of where we're at, right? Everything is constantly going up. Inflation is kind of fluctuating up and down. But anyways, the point is, for an individual, that's the type of plans we would want you to consider setting up. And there's a way that you could defer a lot of taxes in that aspect.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, just the number, hearing that compared to, as someone that is a small, self-employed, but also wants to grow into, starting to look at bringing some people on over the next couple of years and all, but thinking from, being someone that was a W-2 employee to someone that is self-employed, the ability to be able to invest more of your money into your retirement it's mind-blowing. The tools and what's available to you and these vehicles, you can really be able to put more of your money into your retirement, be able to control more of what you have available in your future that way, with so many of these different products that way, when you make that shift from just being an employee to be able to control your own future when you are self-employed that way. It's amazing.
I'm happy that you said that, because again, I think I didn't hit this home as a solo. We have hundreds of solo 401ks and SEP IRAs here at the IRA, if not thousands. I could be completely mistaken. Remember, your money is automatically invested in the stock market, right? Within our AI Smartfolios. But as your account grows, again, don't forget, the goal is here to do alternative assets, because what do we believe in, Matt? We believe in diversification, right? At the end of the day. So that's the biggest key and takeaway. If you're opening up a solo 401k with, let's say, one of the bigger firms like Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab, you're stuck. You're stuck with their products. You can't do anything outside of that. So keep in mind, we don't got a problem with the stock market. We say this all the time, Matt, in previous podcasts. Yes, the money has to be vested, but don't forget, alternatives is where it's at. You got to always think double-digit returns at the end of the day. Otherwise, I hate to say this, your spouse, you're going to work forever.
Right. One quick question before we get into about small business owners that have employees then. If someone is a W-2 employee, are they able to set up then a LLC or to be self-employed if they have, let's say, I know Dennis has talked about, he has his friend that is a doctor that sometimes, does some additional work on the side and has some additional money coming in and has a separate business and has some additional money that comes in on the side because he works solo. Are you able to have a product like this while being an employee? If you have additional, like a side job that money comes in, are you able to have this additional vehicle if you have additional side work that comes in under this business while you're also a W-2 employee?
And the answer is yes.
Okay.
You could have multiple 401k accounts. However, your contribution limits don't change.
Okay.
So meaning if you did a full, let's say hypothetical scenario, you did a full contribution to your W-2 job.
Yeah.
And the only reason why maybe you're doing that is because who knows, maybe they're giving you like a 10% match or, or more. Well, great. Take the money. Always take the free money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you are self-employed and you do have your own LLC or your side gig, like you said, maybe we could set up a profit sharing plan, right? We could set up the profit sharing plan, and let's just say hypothetical scenario, you made $100,000 for simple math purposes. We could do 25% of the earnings of the company into a solo 401k, and that'll add additional tax savings at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to sitting down and talking to somebody here to find out what's best suited for you.
Right. You should always find out about your own unique situation as well. So that's why you should always reach out. And also, too, we're going to have separate episodes going forward about each of these different vehicles and all. So this is just kind of an overall reach, but we'll be talking more about these in the coming weeks.
Yes,
so, all right, but let's move on then to for small business owners that have employees. What does that look like then? What are we talking about then? What's kind of the minimal employees then to the maximum? And then let's talk about these vehicles then and what's available then for small business owners that have employees.
Got it. Awesome. So honestly, we kind of wanted to keep it as simplistic as possible with IRA Club SBS.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier in this episode, we travel on the road probably 150 to 160 days just between me, Dennis, and a couple of us, right, all over the country. And what we find, and this is a funny stat, I don't know if you know how many small businesses there are in this country.
Hang on, let me guess.
Take a guess. You'll be surprised.
1.5 million would be my guess.
Nowhere near. It's like 30 plus million.
Really?
Go Google it. Small. Now I'm talking about
like under 500 employees. That would be my guess.
Under even 100 employees.
Okay.
So most of America, and even less.
Yeah.
Even less. It's actually so what constitutes a small business owner? An individual, like we just talked about, could be a small business owner, or it could have all the way up to 500 plus employees. Right. You're talking about like Amazon, for example.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is America's built on small businesses.
Yeah.
Right. So always remember that. But there are tens of millions of small business owners. So to your point, we have products for the individual, and you just asked W-2 employees. So we tried to keep it as simplistic as possible. And this is what we found when we were traveling all over the country. So for example, there is an event that we go to. It's Anderson's Tax and Asset Protection event, of which there's about anywhere between 400 to 500 people that come to this every quarter.
Yeah.
And I would tell you about 40% of those individuals in there are small business owners. But what we found was it's less than 20 employees. So the majority of what we talked to, when we talked to individuals, they were just, okay, I don't want a crazy type of traditional 401k plan. So the product that I see everybody kind of like leaning into is the safe harbor plan. And why the safe harbor plan? Because it eliminates a lot of the testing that we have to do here at the IRA Club, like expense ratio testing, top heavy testing, non-discriminatory testing. But remember, these plans have specific rules, which we're not going to get into.
Right.
But again, what you do to one, you must do to all, meaning all of your employees. So if you only have like 10, 15, 20 employees, I find this plan, which is the most of the individuals that we're talking to, that is the perfect type of plan to throw you and your employees into. And it's very easy to set up. And one of the things that we forgot to mention is the time and effort that it took for us to create the integrations on the backside. So for example, we connect to basically every single payroll provider across the entire country. So it really does streamline the process. So
and that's such a big deal too, because small business owners don't have the time or the bandwidth, and honestly, from a technology standpoint, your job as a small business owner is to worry about growing your business, worry about your zone of genius, whatever it is that you started your business for anyway. You don't have to worry about ADP and all of that crap. You don't want to worry about it.
None of it. We take care of all that for you on the backside. You just tell us who your payroll providers will connect for you. And who loves this the most? The employees, because they could, like, if they get a raise, for example, right? And they're like, hey, I got, I'm making a little bit more money. Maybe I want to contribute a little bit more, raise my percentages. Why not? Especially if you're getting an employer match. It's like, why not do that? The other thing to do is, you hit the nail on the head, is you want to set up your company because you're so demand, you know me, you see me. Like, business development is all I pretty much work on over here. I don't have time to worry about the backside stuff. Okay. But you also want to keep your employees happy at the end of the day. That's the main key. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways of having a 401k plan or a simple IRA plan. It really comes down to keeping and enticing the right type of employees, right? As an incentive to come work for the company and grow the company. But that is the simplest. Sorry, I kind of stole my own thunder. The safe harbor plan is traditionally the easiest plan to set up, but the simple, that's why I said I took my own thunder away. The simple IRA is actually a much more easier plan to administer. This is what most people don't know, is the 401k plan's got about, I think, just under 200 pages worth of rules and regulations versus the simple IRA plan is like 25 pages worth of rules and regulations.
Wow.
So even when it comes to doing alternative assets, it's a lot more streamlined because, here, I'll tell you why, because your IRA is a trust. It's a separate entity from who you are versus the 401k plan. If you do want to do alternative assets, let's say buy a house on 123 Green Street, and if that is your goal as the small business owner and you want to teach that to your employees, then we also have to establish LLCs to protect the assets. Where in the simple IRA, you don't have to do that. And these are the type of conversations that we're going to have with you, meaning our RIAs, and find out what you're ultimately, again, trying to accomplish for you and your company.
Right. And there's a whole brand new team here at the IRA Club that is set up and trained to be able to have these conversations with small business owners to make sure that they are properly set up and making sure that they're happy and their employees are happy too. So, and especially too in today's day and age with things that are happening in the economy and people looking for new jobs and all, making sure that your employees are happy, not only with the type of work they're doing, but also with their retirement plans and all these additional things. If you can, have these type of products that are helping to grow their future as well, that makes such a difference in, making sure that they stick around and making sure that, that they have that kind of loyalty to you and your organization, because you're offering not just an employment and all of that, but you're offering a piece of their future as well. You have an invested interest in wanting to keep them around as well.
Well, it's also the product, Matt. So the product itself that we work so hard to get for the employer and the employees, which is the AI technology, right? And we've had other past episodes where we could talk about that a little, but the AI is there to protect and preserve the 401k accounts, right, from market drops. So it's not only the fees, right, but imagine a 2008 episode, right, where somebody was approaching retirement, almost reaching the age of 60, and he had about 600,000, 500,000, whatever inside his 401k, and he just lost half of that. You ain't retiring anymore.
Right.
I hate to say that. You got to work 4.8 years to get to that break-even point, because that's how long it took.
And there are previous episodes, by the way. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can go back and learn about a lot of these AI tools that we're talking about. There's previous episodes about this. Okay, so we've talked about individuals. We've talked about small business owners that have employees. For larger organizations, what does IRA Club offer?
So we also have something called the enterprise plan, all right? And typically that really happens more when you have, like, I would say 50 or more employees. That's where kind of I feel the safe harbor plan kind of falls short for a lot of them, only because employees that have been with the company for a long time or highly compensated employees like managers or directors or vice presidents are probably going to want to contribute more. So we do have to do those type of testings, but we also have to make sure that everybody is being treated as equal as possible, right, at the end of the day. But also the enterprise plan, when we talk to a lot of individuals, they have multiple businesses. So you may have, 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses, and we have to set up maybe a plan for each one of those businesses, or keep it universal with a safe harbor plan, like do a 3% match across the board. It's probably the easiest thing to do. So we do offer for any size business owner, we do have a solution for every single person, right? And it, again, automatically connects. And very important to know this, with the enterprise plans, you meet with our RAs once a quarter.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Very important. So we talk strategy. What are you interested? What do you see? Performance. You could kind of switch your AI smartfolio. We offer 16 different ones. Bonds, treasuries. You could, again, talk alternatives if you want. Maybe you want to take a portion of that 401k and invest in gold. Gold right now is through the roof, right? Or you identified a house on 123 Green Street and you want to, buy that with your 401k. But there's a lot more freedom with these type of plans that we offer, and at a much more aggressive and affordable cost to you. And again, this is for your future, right?
Yeah.
For every percentage, right, that they're taking as you start making more and more money. Remember, it starts off great for a 20-year-old, but once you start getting real money in there, like once it reaches that 100,000 marker, that's when they're really hammering you at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like we said before, each situation is going to be unique and different. And you can go to IRA Club SBS.com and schedule an appointment to learn more about your own situation. And we will be doing episodes about each different type, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're self-employed, or you're interested in this enterprise. We will have episodes that are unique to each coming up in the couple of weeks where you can dig a little bit more into this. Let's get into a little bit more about the fees. I know you digged a little bit into it before, but I know this is something you're passionate about because when you see what so many other retirement products offer and how people do, like you said, people don't have time to dig through the small print, nor do they really understand it.
No.
And they don't realize how I hate to use the term, but they're getting hosed when it's all said and done. And there's money that they leave on the table with some of these products when they just sign the paperwork and don't realize. So what did you learn through this process? And then how did you make this different with these products that you created? And how does this benefit then small business owners?
Well, number one, let's start with this. It's we talked about flat fees versus percentage-based models. That to me is number one, first and foremost. Again, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, and it could be in the hundreds depending on the longevity of your business, the longevity of the employer with you. I always like to say, Matt, every decade by decade, right? You have to analyze, and for me, it's because you can't touch it anyways until you're 59 and a half, but you need to look at your statements more often than not, right? And tweak it every once in a while. We give you that flexibility again to do that. But also understanding that as the employer, that's how they hook you in with these really cheap fees up front.
Yeah.
Right? That's how they get you in the beginning.
Yep.
But remember, you're not only the employer, you are an employee of the company, which means you are still getting charged that 2 to 3 to 4%. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Just because they're upfront giving you a deal, like, hey, that is what most people don't realize. So for us, the core, the basic plan, which is as I like to call them payroll deduction IRAs. That means you could set them up for if you don't want to do an employer match. It is state regulated, like it's compliant. Please forgive me with any state that you decide to choose with. We just need to find out the number of employees because every state's got a little bit of a different rule and regulation behind that. However, you could do a payroll deduction IRA for $950 a year, right? And then $7 per employee. So as the employer, you're paying $950 and the employees are only paying $7 a month. That's one. The core plan, which is the most popular plan that we have, is $1950, and that's to set up a traditional 401k, a safe harbor 401k, a simple IRA if that's what you want, and then the enterprise plans. If you have multiple businesses, like you want to be more in touch with our RIAs, it's a little bit more hand holding in that aspect. And we sit down and we really break down these numbers for you, and that's $29.50. All right, but I do recommend those for like 50 or more employees, right? And you could pick and choose by this conversation that we're going to have during discovery calls. But those are the only 3 plans that we offer. Keep it very basic, and I forgot to mention the solo 401k plans. $395 per year, fully administered by the IRA Club, allows you to do alternative assets also, not just the stock market, the AI Smartfolios, okay? And we also make sure that we're doing all of the correct filing. So for example, like the 5500 forms, that's also included for the $395. You're not going to really find that anywhere else, right? Again.
And that's so important too. As a small business owner who does a lot of my own filing for my own business stuff as it is, having to know what to file to make sure that you are covered, to make sure you're in compliance just from filing business forms with the state of Illinois, since being based here and all, having to worry about IRS forms and all those things matter. And for $395 a year, I don't have to worry about that. That's worth the price of admission alone.
Why would you want to be the bookkeeper?
I don't want to worry about that.
Yeah, you don't worry.
Let
us do it for you. That's
exactly.
We're going to do it for you anyways.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's the biggest takeaway that I think I want to hone down on, and is I really need you guys to think about long term, right? This is the long play. This is the slow and steady wins the race kind of play, right? But also setting up not only your company, but helping your employees, setting them up for success.
Yeah.
Your employees don't know what they don't know. They're kind of looking at you to be the leader, right? And that's the biggest takeaway. So make sure you're doing your homework on at least fees, bare minimum, and what are the offerings inside of there. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And if you'd like to learn more about your own unique situation and see how the IRA Club can help out, you can set up an appointment. Go to IRAClubSBS.com. You can, there's a link there. You can schedule an appointment, right?
And, actually, we have a discovery form.
Okay.
Right? You click on the discovery form. It's right then and there because, again, we need to know a little bit about you and your company, right? Number of employees. You have a current plan. What is your goals for the company? What investments are you most interested in? These are we're going to ask you about 8 to 10 questions that really hone down. And then we could, as we sit down, help direct that conversation during either our welcome call, right? Or you could schedule a time that's best suited for you. I know everybody that's listening to this is busy all the time.
Yeah.
So we want to work on your time.
So as we're wrapping up here, I want to ask you, as a business owner yourself, as you've been building this out, as so many other small business owners will be watching this as well. What, as a small business person, did you learn through this process that's kind of surprised you? Was there anything that you were like, as someone building something of your own as part of this? I mean, you've been part of this organization for a long time. But was there something as a small business owner yourself, as you were building this, you're going, whether you learn about yourself or about business building, that kind of surprised you now that you're on the other end of this 18-month process?
Employees care about this. They really care about having a retirement plan of any kind, right? They could be a 401k, a traditional, a safe harbor. It doesn't matter. They are looking for something to protect again and preserve their future. Why? Social Security, who knows if it's going to be around? Medicare, Medicaid, God knows.
Who knows?
Yeah. So there is a level of concern, right? And offering them that security blanket, I think, is what I learned by talking to a lot of small business owners is their employees want something.
Yeah.
They're aching for something. Okay. But they don't know, right? The employer, not the employees, but the employer, what they don't know is, the cost of doing business with some of these larger institutions is very heavy. And that's kind of the thing that I've been taking away. They're looking for simplicity, good fees, something to help out the employees. I think, and it's a great incentive for something that everybody's looking for.
Yeah. And it goes back to something that is one of the key elements here of the IRA Club. Do your due diligence, do your homework, learn about not only about what IRA Club here does, but if you are part of any other investment vehicles already, but learn about what fees that you might be already paying if you have any products right now that you offer your employees, or if you are self-employed and you're part of some products right now. Do that digging. They'll put it into an AI or dig into the fine print and see what am I actually paying, and you might be surprised. You might want to have a drink by hand. When you start seeing that number, it might be a little bit of a surprise. But you should know you should do your due diligence and learn what it is at this point. So
agreed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, Ramez. Thanks for your time.
Matt,
this has been fun.
Yeah, Matt, we've got to do these more often.
We have to do this more often. This will be good. If you want to learn more and keep up with what's going on here, we share so many great pieces of education, information about all the different products that are available. But also, if you're learning about all the different vehicles that are available, about all the different opportunities, if you want to put your money, all the different type of investments that are available, we talk about them here. We'd like to educate people about what's out there and what's available. You can do that on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can find all those links at our website as well. So thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And go to the website and learn more.
Thank you. Till next time, guys.
Cheers.